Hey yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I had to re-up on my NWO shirts on 500 Level, the comfortable material. If you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. They got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 Level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts that you cannot find in a WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on the website. Hit me up. 500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing. And we are back for another casual conversation with the classic guys. I got a very special guest, someone I've wanted to talk to for a little while now, someone who's always been super cool towards the wrestling classic and the page, and that's none other than Kayla Becker, formerly known as Kayla Braxton, but now Kayla Becker. How are we doing today?
Good, what's up? Yeah, about time you got me on your show. I've seen you interview pretty much every other person I know, so I'm glad you finally got to me. I had to quit my job to get an interview.
It feels like that happens sometimes. Like there's been a couple of times where someone just leaves WWE and they're like, okay, now I can do it. Let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Exactly. A little more freedom.
Yeah. Like same thing happened with Renee when she left. That's immediately I was like, Renee left the company, and then I was like, hey, Renee, do you want to come on this show now? She's like, yeah. Oh, this is so easy without having to ask for permission and do all of this.
Yeah.
It's great to have you on here. There's tons to talk about.
Thanks.
There's tons to catch up on. There's a ton of cool stuff you're doing now, which we will get on to, but I'm going to kind of sandwich the wrestling in the middle, because first things I want to know about is a little bit of your early life. Where did you grow up, and also like how did you get into broadcasting?
I grew up between Austin, Texas, and a little town in Alabama called Wadley, population of 500. I graduated high school with 12 people, very teeny tiny. Ended up going to college in Nashville, Tennessee at Belmont University, where I studied broadcast journalism. I always knew since I was a little girl that I wanted to go into something with broadcasting. I used to watch Oprah Winfrey show and say, one day I'm going to be the next Oprah and I want to have my own talk show. And then after I studied broadcast in college, started my own talk show in college. And then that is what caught the attention of a local news affiliate in Orlando, Florida, where they gave me my own show. And that is what got the attention of WWE. So it's been, broadcasting has just been in my blood for as long as I can remember.
Is it one of those situations where like you had friends that were like, hey, like you talk a lot and you're really good at talking, like you should be a broadcaster? Because I feel like I've gotten that before.
It was more like in school, I always got in trouble for talking too much, where I thought, how about I make some money doing this?
Isn't that so crazy? That was such a common thing on report cards back in the 90s. Like, oh, they're really good and that, but they're always talking too much and distracting other people. Much. And then
I'm social. I have social skills as a child. Sorry. So I can go out into the world and be a contributing member of society.
100%. And then most of us kids that got that on our report cards grew up to do things where it's either we're talking a lot, customer service, social jobs, or whatever. And it's like coincidence. Not, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I also watched an interview you did, and you talked about like having a YouTube channel or starting
Uh-huh.
YouTube early on. So like you're like one of those early
Yeah.
YouTubers. I don't think people know that you're like an early OG YouTuber.
I can't believe I didn't stick with it's funny enough, I did there's a YouTuber who goes by the name of Swoozy, and he's a really big deal. He's who got me into it. Funny enough, he just texted me a couple of days ago a screenshot of a video that we did like 15 years ago. But I have him to credit for that. Yes, early on, Playlist Live, back in the Vine days, that's when I came into this, and I am so annoyed that I didn't stick with it because all the people who did it when I started are now like multimillionaires. So
Yeah. That's what I
whatever. We all
mean.
go different paths. But yes, I used to be a little YouTuber.
That's crazy. Like in the if you say like 15 years ago, that's like the inception of like when YouTube was popping off. A lot of those Vine people were coming on to YouTube because Vine was going
Yep.
down, and they all became YouTubers in the longer form videos. I mean,
Uh-huh.
hell, you could have maybe stuck with YouTube and been like Logan Paul coming in the WWE that way,
See, and then I would have gotten plenty of WrestleMania matches, maybe, you
yeah. So
know?
when did the WWE take notice, and how did they reach out to you?
So I knew someone who used to work for WWE. He was kind of in my friend group, and he said the department was looking for some more announcers. And but I had moved away for a little bit. I moved to Arizona for about a year. But then I had quit my job and I was looking for a job. I needed like a new situation, so it all just kind of worked out. Initially, I wasn't interested in the job because my focus was always entertainment, lifestyle, travel. Like that was what I always wanted to do, and I didn't know anything about WWE. So I just kind of was like, no, I'm not going to go down that path. But then I did go down that path. Thought maybe I would do it for like a year or two, gain some experience, meet some people. And then, of course, a lot of people will tell you that. They think they're going to come in for a year or two, and then 15 years later, they're like, oh, we're still here. So that's kind of what happened. But it was really cool because I think the talk show that I had in Orlando, my hiring manager saw my style of interview and he goes, we want you to do that here at WWE. And eventually, that's kind of what became the bump. So it's kind of cool how that all unfolded.
It took some time to get there, though, and some incarnations.
It
That is true.
did.
There is a lot of people that are like, "Oh, like I'll work there for like even though I worked there for a year, it looks great on their resume," and then they're
Mhm.
just there for like 10 years. And like, I don't know how I've been here for
Yep.
so long. But you started as a ring announcer, right, for NXT.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So how did you like find the world of wrestling when you first got to it? Because like you said, you didn't really know much about WWE. You weren't like someone that grew up a huge wrestling fan.
Mhm.
How did you find it when you first stepped in there, the uniqueness and the crazy world of professional wrestling? What are some of the biggest things
I
that
mean
kind of shocked you about it?
the culture, even now, it's different than when I arrived because I joined WWE about 8 years ago, and it's a lot different now than it was back then. I'm sure you are very much aware of that.
Yeah.
And with the culture, so the first time I was kind of introduced into it, I went to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando to watch an NXT taping back when they would film multiple episodes at a time. I just sat in like the bench on the stands and just was watching everybody rehearse. And I was like, damn, like yeah, I didn't know like how wrestling worked. I'm sitting there watching all these like superstars doing their thing, and then the culture of you show your respect to those people who've been there. You go up to people, you shake their hand, have a conversation. It was really cool, very immersive. I feel like that one day I sat at the performance center, I learned like years worth of knowledge about wrestling.
Yeah. No, 100%. And it's crazy too, because I remember hearing that back in that time specifically, say like 8, 9 years ago. Like I've been running this
Mhm.
page for about like 10 years now, and people would be like, the one thing about this company at that time, I know a lot's changed, was that they kind of like hiring people that aren't really wrestling fans that don't know what is
Mhm.
going on here, which I always found so interesting because then you come in there and there's all these like traditions and rules about wrestling, like you got to
Yeah,
shake
yeah.
everybody's hand and you should know
uh,
this and you should know that. But
yeah.
I'm guessing you would catch on fairly quickly once you're there, right? Especially in a place like the
Yeah, and
Performance Center NXT.
yes, and there's plenty of people there who wanna help you. So, like, before I hit the road for SmackDown, I had a couple of years under my belt NXT, learning the ropes, no pun intended. And, so, yeah, it was a very easy transition for me, and I'm really thankful. Not all the announcers, if you watch now, we're bringing in people from, other areas of sports and entertainment who are absolutely phenomenal what they do, but they didn't go through the NXT Performance Center process. And I'm really thankful that I did get to do that because I think you do learn a whole new respect and you get a whole new appreciation for these guys and gals and what they're doing every week.
And you're also learning with a bunch of other people that might have come from a background of athletics and whatnot too that don't know that wrestling bubble and are learning at the same time. So that's like probably really helpful. And you have those coaches and stuff down there. How much do you like ring announcing compared to interviewing and that?
Everyone asks me this question, and I've said it a million times. I hated ring announcing. I never liked it. It wasn't because I didn't think it was a cool job. I think it's like one of the coolest jobs. I just was really, I don't think I was good at it. And it was something that really made my anxiety level spike. It made me so nervous. There's a difference in being backstage and doing an interview to camera and talking to a superstar versus being in the ring, being live, no room for error, hyping up the crowd. You know, the energy of the room is dependent on you. It was a lot. So I was like, I think I better back there.
Yeah, and I think everyone has kind of what their expertise are and what they prefer doing, right? 100%. And you came in like doing broadcasting and interviewing, so like to do ring announcing and to be put in a position where you're supposed to remember everything and hype up the crowd and have that energy live before the show starts. Like that's a lot of pressure. You've been always good at being yourself though. Like I feel like most of your interactions with people, like it didn't ever seem like, you know, sometimes you'll get backstage interviewers and you know, like they've been doing this forever and they come off very straight-laced, very professional, but like super professional. Like it's good everyone's professional, but I mean like super professional. Like they know they're doing the job and they're doing it. You always had a bit of a personality and a sort of like you kept your quirkiness, and I always thought that was cool. Do you ever have any issues doing that, or was that just the way of the world?
No, I mean, I think in like especially the Vince era, announcers and backstage interviewers were seen very differently than they are now. Like the people in charge now want us to have a personality and react and like act like real life people. But back then we were supposed to basically operate like we were invisible. They didn't want us to react, didn't want us to have a personality because they didn't want us to distract from anything that was happening, you know, of importance of the, you know, the show. So it was really hard for me not to have my personality for those couple of years. And it wasn't really until the bump when like the powers that be saw, oh, Kayla has a personality, that they're like, oh, we want, even Vince was like, I want that girl, I want that Kayla on SmackDown. So I was like, about damn time. So from then on, I got to kind of be myself. And it's been even like I would get written into the show and there would be a note like, we want Kayla to be sassy here, sarcastic. I'm like, yeah, you see me.
100%. And you were there for a long time. Like there's been announcers that have come and gone, but you've like been there for like a good stretch. Like you've seen a fair share of them come and go. At some point, they must have like gained that trust for you. We're like, well, Kayla's here. We know Kayla. She's.
I guess so. Or I flew far enough below the radar where they forgot I was there and didn't kick me out. No, I was really thankful for that because even since I've been when I was at WWE over those 8 years, like you said, a lot of turnover. We saw a lot of new people come in and then leave. There's only really a handful of us that came in. I think like me, Mike Rome, Byron Saxton, obviously Corey, I think are the four. Am I missing someone? The four left that were like OGs?
I think so. Because
we've
everyone
had
else,
about
like Renee's gone, Charlie's gone, Dasha was there at one point. Vic Joseph.
So there's been
a whole bunch of people that have gone. Who's really like? Is there any out of all the people you've worked with? Was there anyone that had an influence on you or really helped you out or gave you advice that really stuck?
Renee really helped me out because I was stepping into her role. So I came up and I worked on SmackDown with Renee. She showed me, you know, how it was done. She taught me all the nuances. And then when she decided to step away from the company, it's when I slid into all of her roles. So it was a really quick, like, bam, like I went from doing an interview or two backstage to you're going to do the kickoff shows, you're going to do Talking Smack, you're going to do this and that. But I felt okay and prepared because she was really helpful with all of that.
I guess it was really beneficial for you that you weren't like one of the guys that had to like stand with the legs spread to look shorter than the talent, right?
Funny enough, I have had to do that. I am 4'11" and a half. Okay. So sometimes I'll sneak and wear some high heels, but I've had to do the splits because we do have shorter, like no matter what she says, Zelina Vega is a lot shorter than me, but because she likes to like go online and lie about our height difference, people on TV think that's true. So then when I did interviews with her backstage, I had to do the split so that she looked taller, but I am much, much taller than Zelina Vega.
So fair enough. Actually, I never thought of it like that because that's true. There probably are some of the women that you might be taller than. But those pictures are always funny when they would go around the internet and people would see them, and it's like, oh, like I didn't even notice they had to do that. Like that's
Yep.
like shows the versatility of you backstage interviewers and announcers and stuff type of stuff you'd have
Mhm.
to come up with. Let's talk about some of the people you worked with that obviously you had some good riff raff
Okay.
with. I know you've talked about them a ton, but we'll clip this up and give it to this audience. Let's talk about the IIconics and the Hey Kayla. That
Yeah.
obviously got over really well with the internet, and I think it still haunts you till this day, does it not?
Yeah, like I said, I said this interview I did recently. I went to my first lucha shows, Lucha Vavoom here in Los Angeles. It was a good time, but I was thinking I was going to be like under the radar. No one was going to really know like who I was. I was there to see a good friend of mine, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hi, Kayla! Hi, Kayla!" I'm like, "Holy cow! Like this is going to follow me for the rest of my life." But I love it. Like I think it's so great, and the fact it came from two of my favorites just makes it even better. So when I hear it, it makes me think of them.
I can't even post you without getting comments that are just "Hey Kayla." I was like,
It's crazy
it's
how that caught
become
on.
yeah, it's one of those things now that it's gonna be there forever.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with someone I think doesn't get talked about a lot when with your on-screen presence. You guys' banter is you and Sami Zayn. You guys do a lot of the post SmackDown shows together, and you two are
Mhm.
great together too. How was it like working with Sami Zayn?
I've told people this many times, and I've told Sammy this over the years. I think he, to me, was one of my favorite superstars to watch in and out of the ring. Watching his process backstage, the way he thinks is so unique. You could tell he cares so much about every part of his performance, and I respected that so much. And then the product that you got was so much of him and what he felt was like the way to portray whatever was going on. And then he's just funny. Like he's a good time. Like when I dressed up as him for Halloween on Talking Smack, he had no idea I was going to do that. His reactions were genuine. And he was just really fun to riff with. But yeah, I didn't get to work with him that much toward the end of my time there. But yeah, he was a lot of fun to work with. Really
Yeah, and
talented
like,
guy.
did you
Sami
guys have
Zayn.
more freedom? Did you guys have more freedom in the terms of like a talking smack and stuff? Because that stuff also felt a lot more off the cuff.
Yeah. There was a lot more freedom there. Of course, we have like the things we need to cover, obviously.
Yeah,
But once certain guests got on the desk, all hell breaks loose. The bets are. You'd see me a lot of times just be like, "Okay, I'm done." I would just sit there like this and let whoever was on the desk go back and forth, that's what made it really fun.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot looser and allowed. I think it just allowed like our superstars to be a lot more free with their character, and that was an opportunity for them to show that they had this personality as well and try out different things. So yeah, it was that was a fun show. I missed that show.
No, 100%. And then also talk about that for a second. You talked about dressing up like Sami Zayn. You've also dressed up
Mhm.
like Paul Heyman. You've dressed up like the Usos. You took advantage of Halloween, and we're gonna talk about you
I
being a
did
horror
Zelina Vega
fan.
last year.
You did Zelina Vega. We'll talk about you being a horror fan in a minute and loving Halloween and stuff like that. But I
Yes.
always thought that was super cool. Which out of those outfits was your favorite, and which one's got the best reactions?
Um, the most, you know what? That's hard because they all got crazy. It's like I was constantly trying to outdo myself each
Yeah.
year. The Sami Zayn was such on a whim that wasn't even really planned. But that one got a great reaction because I was like practicing his mannerisms and his Canadian accent and like doing all of his like fair trade coffee and like all I was learning all of his mannerisms, which that was really fun. And that's when he was like he was a what was it?
The
He
conspiracy
was
theorist.
yes, well, he was the Intercontinental
Yeah.
Champion, but not really, or yeah, whatever. So I got to make
Yeah.
fun of him for that. But then was the next year Paul Heyman. Of course, that was one of the top because
The
he
mask and
yeah we
everything was.
and like that wasn't the mask we were supposed to use. I actually felt really bad. We had someone who was supposed to come in and do like an actual like prosthetics, like, but the
Oh,
time
okay.
wasn't there. So we just found this mask at like a Halloween shop and it just worked. So I didn't mean for it to be that dramatic in the chin, but and then the Usos was really fun because I know I'm so small compared to them, and I was doing it um with my former coworker. And then what was, oh yeah, Zelina Vega, that was may have been one of my favorites though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be one of my
Is
favorites.
this the feud's gonna go on forever? This love-hate relationship with you and Zelina Vega over social media and online can't end anytime soon, I'm guessing, right? Like this is ongoing forever and ever.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, we've taken a little pause, but yeah, it'll go on forever. It's
Let's
not the last. It's not the last that people see of Kayla and Zelina Vega.
Well, I hope not, because it's great. It's great banter. Let's talk about Paul Heyman. Obviously, he's
Okay.
been in your corner. You've worked with him on Talking Smack briefly a few times, which were great episodes as well. And then obviously you became the girl that would scare him backstage on a weekly basis. How was that work with Paul Heyman?
Ugh, I mean, I feel like so few people get to work that closely to him and learn from him. When we first started working together, it was when he got put as my co-host in Talking Smack. And at the time, we hadn't really worked together very much. We didn't really know each other very much. And at first, I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm sitting here trying to host this show. I have this man next to me. He won't stop talking. He's trying to get his shit in. I'm trying to get my shit in." Like, and then it took like one show for me to be like, "Okay, like this guy, of course he gets it." I mean, Paul Heyman is one of the greatest wordsmiths of all time. And so I really give him a lot of credit for putting me kind of in that storyline, like with he and the bloodline, and kind of keeping me as his like sole or primary backstage interviewer to get the scoop. But I don't even know how the scaring thing happened. I think he just did it one time and fans loved it. So we were like, let's just make this a thing where we scare Paul Heyman every time I come up for an interview.
It really became a thing. I mean, if they were ever to make, say, like a comic book about the Bloodline storyline, like there's a drawing of you scaring Paul Heyman that would be in it. It's so part
It
of
has
it
to.
without you knowing it's part of it. Like,
Yeah.
and he is one of the greatest men in the business. To have him in your corner and supporting you, wanting to do
Hmm.
stuff with you, like that must be super cool.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the bump. Let's talk about the bump. How did the bump come about? Whose idea was it? That was kind of like your baby at the beginning. How did that come about?
Yeah, so the bump, I wasn't one of the brains behind it. I wasn't one of the initial creators of it. The digital team in Stanford had been working on a pilot. Um, and but they needed a host. And they approached me like, "Hey, do you want to host this show?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like that's everything I ever wanted to do. Like finally having my own like real talk show on Peacock that I had a lot of creative control over. And yeah, I mean that honestly is what revitalized me in WWE. That's going to be forever one of the highlights of my entire career was getting to do that show. I got really close with that team, the Bump team out of Stanford. I flew up there every single week from Florida. That's a brilliant team, those guys and gals. But yeah, it's such a cool show. You all saw it from the beginning. We had a little bit of a few different people on the set, and we finally settled in to what it was when I was there. We got to travel to different places. We did like a trip to Salem. It was really cool. Exclusive pieces that ended up airing. I went to Landon Barker, Travis Barker's
Yeah.
studio, and did an interview with him. Went to New York to go interview Cyndi Lauper. And yeah, it was a great platform to kind of do stuff outside of the bubble.
And it had a great run because, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I remember when the network first came out, they tried doing a whole bunch of different shows. I think Corey Graves had like a travel show. Someone else that was
Hmm.
talking snack with Kathy Kelly. They always tried stuff, but stuff didn't last that long. It'd be like a
Hmm.
season or a few episodes. Like the bump started in 2019. I think it just kind of wrapped up. But I was like, that was a good run. And like, I mean, it was extra content for people. There was
Yeah.
storyline progress there. There was, it
Hmm.
wasn't, they gave reasons for legends to come on there and speak. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
special moments. Are there any moments that stand out to you from the run of the bump? Is there anything where you're like, I'm glad that I got to be a part of this?
I mean, I think one of the things, a few of the things actually, I think we were one of, if not the first interview that Taker did post retirement as like pretty sure like got this really
One of the
long
first
form.
Mark Calloway interviews.
Yeah, and Mark, like Taker doesn't talk. We had Mark on there just like shooting the shit with us for 45 minutes. I think there was one of
Yeah.
those shows we were running out of time, and the producer like, "We don't care, we'll go overtime."
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do. We're out here conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt, remember to conquer it, do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, guys. Limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below.
I got to do like one of Edge's last big interviews before he left the company. Got to do a long sit down with John Cena, which never really happens. Um, got to do that funny piece with Kevin Owens, or that fun piece with Kevin Owens over in France. the piece in Saudi with Randy Orton. Like, this is all stuff that like we haven't seen before on a platform with WWE. So the fact that I got to be a part of that and kind of drive that was really special.
Because I always thought that should be a thing. Like I was a fan, like going back, like I'm born in the '90s, but I'd go back and watch stuff in the '80s, and I'd watch like
Mhm.
primetime wrestling, and they'd have those skits and stuff like that. I'd watch TNT, and they'd do the things like you did with Kevin Owens. Like me and Gene would be out on
Mhm.
the field with somebody, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so much personality that these wrestlers have, and they don't get to showcase it
Mhm.
all on Mondays and Thursdays or Fridays or whenever
Exactly.
SmackDown's going to be. That it was great to have a show where they got to show that other side, and you got to get to feel like get to know them better. Did you pitch
Mhm.
anything else while you were there before you left of other things you could do? Because I mean, like you said, you got into this industry in broadcasting because you like travel and lifestyle, you
Mhm.
know, interviewing and stuff like that. And you got to do stuff like that. Like I watched that thing with you and Kevin literally yesterday. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh,
Oh,
this is
really?
great. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, this is probably what she wanted to do more of.
Mhm.
Stuff like this, like in every town you go to, if you could have one of the talent with you and go
Yep.
see the town, like that seems like something that you would really enjoy doing. Did you pitch
Yeah,
stuff?
for
You have stuff
sure.
to do?
Oh yeah, we're always pitching things. Just a matter
Yeah,
of if we're able to pull it off with time and crew. I really wanted to. I was pitching a late night show to kind of be like Bump After Dark, so it's a little more risque.
yeah,
Um, I want to do something like that. But yeah, it's for the most part just doing the bump stuff. The bump was such a good way for I can shoot these other concepts and they'll just live inside of the bump.
the
So
bump. Yeah,
it's just the all encompassing the bump.
I know. The late night show would have been a great idea too.
I
Like
know.
that.
I might still,
You,
but there may be one with Kayla now.
oh, interesting, interesting. Give us because I also am one of those people, like I grew up watching like Jay Leno and David Letterman, and also like throwback.
Hmm.
I'll go watch old Johnny Carson and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is great. But TNT kind of had that feel, but it was still really wrestling. But it's like
Yeah.
no one's playing games and just creating this content with the wrestlers
Yeah.
themselves. Like that'd be super
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I thought like I
Um,
was like pitching like my next guest needs no introduction with
yeah,
Letterman. Like, that to me would be such a great format to do. And I pitched that on my way out. Obviously didn't happen, but I thought that would be a really cool way to even like more pull the curtain back with some of our guys and girls.
100%, and especially in this era now where everyone kind of knows the deal.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. We don't have
social
to keep
media's kind
pretending.
of ruined it. Yeah, like social media kind of ruined that whole like 1 minute Rhea's dating Dom, but she's getting married over here on
Yeah,
social media. That's
kayfabe
totally
is
cool. Yeah, like, it's totally cool, but that's just where we are at now, right? Like
yeah,
it's so
exactly.
like it
I
would
know
have
even
been
right now
cool
in
to
this
do that.
interview, I'm trying so hard not to like say things I shouldn't say to expose. I'm like, why am I doing that? We know.
Yeah, and also like you don't work there anymore. Like
That's
it's like
true. That's true.
it's a years of working there that does that to you because
It's
that has
true.
happened. I've had people come on here and they're like, oh, no, and they're like, oh, like I don't. I'm like, yeah, you can. It's okay. And like,
Yeah, yeah. So yes.
yeah. Well, one of the things I want to talk about before I get into some of the stuff you're doing now, two things I want to talk about. First things first, super cool that you got to have your farewell at Madison Square Garden. Obviously,
Ah,
you
I
didn't grow up
know.
the biggest wrestling fan, but I know you learned how important that place is in terms of
Mhm.
WWE lore and history. It's the home for the WWE going all the way
Yeah,
back. People like for people that grew up wrestling fans and get into wrestling, like that's where they want to wrestle for that company. Just
yeah.
because everybody did before them. That's where they want to perform. So how cool was it? Like, was that like planned in your head? Like, how cool was it that your last day also coincided to an event at Madison Square Garden?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't planned to be that. Like, I honestly didn't even. I mean, the time between me announce or knowing that I was going to leave and the time I actually left was a very short time. It was kind of like it was just a decision kind of on it's time to do this. It's time to move on. So I wasn't even thinking about my last two shows, which were Chicago and New York City, two of the biggest cities I mean, Chicago, of course, historical for wrestling.
Craziest crowd
Um,
too.
and so I was like, you know what? It just put me such at ease and at peace with my decision. I felt like I was going out, putting the button on it, getting the closure, and I had no idea they were gonna do that goodbye for me. Like I was getting ready to leave because I had a party planned after Madison Square Garden, like a goodbye party. Had like Peter Rosenberg helped me reserve like this little restaurant, and all the wrestlers were coming over after. We were gonna like take our tequila shots and party and do a big farewell. So I'm packing my shit up, and Kasama comes up to me. She goes, "Kayla, you can't leave yet." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You can't leave yet." I'm like, "Oh my God, that means there's going to be a plan B. They think the show's going to run short. That means I have to go out there and do an interview to fill the time." I was like,
Yeah.
of course it's happening. And I was just like, okay, fine. So I'm waiting there. And then Triple H came up to me and goes, you're not leaving, are you? And I was like, he doesn't ask me this question. What's going on? And then I started suspecting things. So, okay, we need you to go hang out in Gorilla for a little bit. And like the show was winding down. And then I just knew they were going to do something. Didn't realize it was going to be Cody Rhodes on his way, I didn't know it was going to be Cody Rhodes. But yeah, when they brought me out there, I can't even describe how emotional I was. And then just hearing, because it's hard, like you never really know how fans perceive you or if they love you, and like, how the internet wrestling people can be. But hearing Madison Square Garden like chanting my name, or thank you, Kayla. Like I will, that feeling will never be able to be replicated, and I wouldn't have gotten that without Triple H and Cody and that whole crew. But that was just why. I know people don't get goodbyes like that.
Yeah, and it's true though, right? Like we're all humans at the end of the day, and as much as we're our biggest fans, we're our biggest critics, and we don't know how
Mhm.
much of an impact we actually make on people, or how do people even care about us? You get like this weird imposters, and like I'm doing this thing, but like I'm
Mhm.
not. You're not the main event star. You're not Cody Rhodes. And
Yeah,
like so
exactly.
you question that, right? And then to see that you get that love, it must have meant a lot. There's a couple of things in there I want to unpack that you said though.
Okay.
First things first. When did you know? Like when was it like, oh, I think it's time to move on?
So it's something that I've been considering for a while, not because anything was wrong. It's just because I was sitting like, what else is there for me to do here? Because I knew it wasn't my forever. I've always known it was my forever. There's other things I need to do out there. And although WWE has been really good lately about allowing us to do more things outside of the company, it's still hard because they don't have time. Like there's
Yeah.
no time. I'm working every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's a lot of times are the dates that I'm needed for other things. So I was like, well, what else can I try to, do here in WWE before I leave? I didn't want to do commentary, and it was kind of the only position I haven't really held in my position. And so yeah, I just needed to find the right moment to do it. And then I had been confronted about or yeah, confronted about some really cool opportunities outside of WWE that I wanted to take. And I did not want to let these opportunities pass me by. I just felt in my gut if I said no to them, because I wanted to not get in trouble or not, ruin my standings at WWE, I would regret it. I think it was just like the universe telling me it's time for you to move on. Like there's stuff for you outside of here. Here it is. I wasn't leaving just to, like see what happens. I left because there was something. The next phase chapter was like there trying to hit me in the face. So I would say probably like a month before, maybe a little more, 6 weeks before I left, is when I made the decision. And everyone, like, I talked to the bosses about it, and it was actually surprising how understanding and supportive they were of it, and kind of validating my feelings, and just knowing it was time for me to move on. So yeah, it just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, 100%. And like going back to the beginning, like you didn't think you were going to be there that long. It was an opportunity that came up,
Yeah.
and not only was it just an opportunity that came up, it's an opportunity that you exceeded at, you did really well at, you fell in love with, you got to do so much. So it's not like you're
Hmm.
right that you probably came to a point you're like, what's next? And would you say now is kind of a situation where you're more betting on yourself? Like, is this
Oh
the era
yeah.
of your life you're in now?
Yeah. Yes. And that's what I had to do. That was the thought process. I'm like, it's scary, man. Like, I'm WWE was solid. They would have probably let me stay there as long as I wanted to stay there. Like, I wasn't going
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah,
That gets real comfortable real fast. And if it's not something that I mean, for some people, that being their whole career is great. That's what they've wanted to do their whole lives. But there's like a list of other things I need to accomplish. Um, so yeah, it was like, all right, Kayla, I've made it this far despite all of the roadblocks in my way.
yeah.
It's not going to stop now. So let's bet on yourself. Let's get back out there and continue moving up in the world.
And that's really a thing, right? Like once you get super comfortable, then you sometimes think to yourself, like, "Oh, like this is way too comfortable. Like maybe I need to do something
Yeah,
uncomfortable." Like sometimes you need to go and walk towards the scary
yeah,
because, like, you just need that adrenaline rush. Like you need something,
yeah,
right? Especially when,
yes,
yeah. And then the other thing you brought up was like you thought that maybe they wanted you to stay because the show went short and they wanted you. How often did things
Mhm.
like that happen?
It happened more before. SmackDown went to Fox maybe, and I think it happened maybe more on Raw because there was more time to fill. There was a little bit where it happened almost like consistently where I'd be running out there just ready. Like I made the mistake once of changing out of my high heels and putting my flats on like 5 minutes before the show was over because I thought, okay, we're done. They're like, Kayla, we need you in the ring. So I remember who helped me. One of the females rushed out with my heels. They're all strapping each heel on me at the same
Yeah.
time to push me out there to do this interview. But yeah, it happened here and there, but I tried to always be on standby and in my correct shoes.
No, 100%. And then you also brought up one other thing in that answer. And we're going to talk about it because, a lot of people, you're very strongly opinionated. Let's just put it that way. And you have to deal with this fandom. And I've dealt with this fandom for 10 years. I'm part of this fandom, but I've also dealt with it for 10 years as well. So like I'm coming from a place of like, I love them, but they're very passionate people. Are you gonna miss the internet wrestling fandom? Like, are you gonna? Because I mean, there was even a point where you came back from France and you were visibly tired on TV, and these people are like, look at her. She seems like she's out of it. She's over it. She doesn't.
People
care
think
anymore.
that was the night they thought I was getting fired. Like the assumption people made that night. That was we were all. If you notice, that whole segment went a little awry. None of us had slept. Like, come on, bros.
Carmelo said the wrong stuff. LA had to correct.
LA was just kind of going off the cuff, He's so good at that too. He's like another wordsmith. But my brain wasn't computing, and I was like, I can't do anything other than what's on this piece of paper right now. But I don't know if the wrestling fans are ever going to completely go away. I actually did an autograph signing here recently at Jimmy's World Order. And big turnout. I was really surprised. I was like, I thought maybe 2 or 3 people would show up. I was like, who the hell is going to come and see just me? But a lot of people did. Really grateful for that. But I think the majority of the wrestling fans, good and bad, are sticking with me. I still get a lot of shit on Twitter. And now that I'm not employed by a huge corporation who watches everything I tweet, I'm going to pop off every once in a while. And it never hurts my feelings. But it's really fun to clap back because I think I'm funnier than most of them. And my clapbacks are always, they
it's
clap.
crazy. It's crazy how crazy they get. Because like, listen, I'm like the worst at Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, like compared to all the other social media platforms. And I made that decision like when I was 23 and started this stuff, and I was like, you know what, Twitter's already saturated and there's a lot of negativity on here. I'm gonna go to Instagram. It's like LA. It's just fancy pictures and niceness. But but
right,
like, yeah, even if it's phony, it's nice looking, Like, so then I was like, well, like Twitter's like New York. They're just coming at you. They're saying what they want to say. There's no holding back. And I would come on there sometimes and you would just have the whole thing stirred up and coming at you, and they would just get like super personal. They would be attacking you about your upbringing. There was like no holds barred on there, but you handled it very well.
Well, I had to learn because like it's still hard. I think it's hard for all of us who are on a platform. And I think it's really disappointing to hear people tell us like, well, you chose this because you decided to go down. Like none of us choose to be bullied. And it doesn't matter how famous you think anyone is, the stuff you say hurts and we see it. And a lot of times, I mean, tell you one thing, these wrestling trolls are pretty good at finding what will like press your button or what it is about you that they know you're already insecure about, and they all don't make you feel worse about it. And it's really shitty. But I had to really learn and consider the source and realize half of these people don't even have they have a wrestler as their profile picture and have some weird screen name. And I will tell you right now, I'm no longer, if you're watching this, wrestling fans, if you don't have a picture of yourself in your profile, I'm never responding. You're never going to get a response from me. Because in my eyes,
yeah,
you don't matter.
And it's like
those of you who are mean to me is what I mean.
Yeah. And then also like it's like you're supposed to go on there and give your opinion, and then like if people don't agree with your opinion, they're just gonna drag you for it, and it just makes what is the point? Like agree to disagree. I had to like teach people like, hey, like there's a thing like we can agree to disagree. Like you don't need to like tell me you're right and like hound me on it for hours. Like I might even change my mind a month from now and be like, you know what? Maybe I do think that now. Like I change. And that's what's so hard about doing podcasts and social media is you put stuff out there. And then like a couple of years go by, you might grow, have some experiences, things will happen. And then you're like, crap, I said that back then. I don't even think that anymore. Like I'm pretty sure in the past I probably said I was an atheist or something. I'm like, I'm not really an atheist. You know what I mean? Like
people are just quick to jump on that and look it up and hold it against you for the rest of your life. And yeah, it's wild.
You know what
But
costume we
whatever.
forgot? We forgot that you dressed up as Michael Cole one time in the ring. I forgot
Oh
about
my
that.
God, that was amazing. That was great. That was
Yeah.
really that was a really fun one. I completely forgot about that too. I got the little singlet. I had Sarat in the who works in the seamstress area. Had him
Yeah.
like put on like Cole. Got the headgear. I got Bailey in on it. That was really fun.
Did Cole not know?
No, and not a
That's awesome.
clue.
That's
Not a
awesome.
clue.
Yeah, I was like, we almost forgot about that one. All right, let's talk about now. Let's talk about the future. That was
Okay.
wrestling. We'll remember you
Mhm.
forever for wrestling. As much as you think we won't, as wrestling fans, we remember everybody. And
Thank
that's what I
you.
think is always a WWE mistake, is they think that we have like short-term memory. Like, no, like if we were real wrestling fans, we remember every little detail and thing.
Little detail.
And we'll remember, like, the Hey Kayla is never going to go away. Like, that's going to be like a thing forever. But let's talk about now. Like, what are your goals? What are things that you are looking to do? You've moved yourself. You packed up, moved yourself to LA, the land of dreams. We've already like booked a movie, and a movie called Stranglehold. You know, it's
Yeah.
star-studded cast. You got Ashley Benson, Jake Lacey, Justin Long, Ron Perlman, who will always be Clay from Sons of Anarchy to me. And it's produced by
Hellboy.
yeah. Oh, Hellboy too. That's true. That's true. And it's produced by a fellow wrestling fan, former actor, it's a filmmaker too, Clark Duke,
Yep.
who I got to meet on a couple of occasions. So it's a super cool little situation. So how did that come about?
Oh God, one of the coolest experiences for sure. And the funny thing is, I'm a big Justin Long. I mean, I'm a fan of all of them. I'm a
Yeah.
huge Justin Long fan. I was a
Yeah.
Justin Long fan since I was a child. And like I remember saying, like, if I ever become an actress, the first person I would ever want to do a movie with is Justin Long. And so it's wild to me that that's exactly what happened. And we had scenes together. Like it's just that just goes to show like why I continue to try to bet on myself. I feel like you put stuff out there and you work towards stuff and like things that you want happen. But anyway, I've known Clark Duke for a long time. I also know there's also the production company Yale Productions. Jordan Yale, he's a big wrestling fan. They reached out to me and they said, "Hey, like, we sorry, this my dog is being annoying. Look at
That's
her.
totally fine.
Um, go place, go place, go sit down." Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's
They
okay.
reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we have this role for you. It's a smaller part, but we think you'd be really great in it. And do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Hell!" I didn't even at the time didn't even know what the movie was. But I was like, "Hell yes, sign me up!" And yeah, that was kind of it.
Without
Got to go
giving
out
too
there,
much
shot for.
away, what's it about?
So I think it's in the Deadline article, but basically it's based in a strip club in
Yeah.
Arkansas. And Ashley Benson is a stripper. I'm a stripper, and there's two more.
Yeah.
And Ashley Benson's character and Jake Lacey's character are married, and they decide to rob the strip club. And so
Yeah.
essentially, it's just a lot of chaos, and it's a very small cast. It's a lot of. I have a very interesting character. There's no stripping of Kayla. I want everyone to be very clear. I play a stripper. My clothes stay on the entire time. Okay, so.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, it was really fun. I'm excited to see it all come together. I got to do a few scenes and yeah, so yeah, we'll see. Stranglehold.
Did you is this your first acting role, or have you had any previous acting roles in the past?
I mean, besides the acting I've had to do backstage in WWE, this is my first like acting role. So it really kind of gave me a little bit of the bug. I've never really thought I was gonna go out and be an actress. Like I'm a host. So my
Yeah.
dream has always been to just like continue climbing the host ladder. But doing that movie and getting to like deliver lines and have this character and like really work my acting chops
Yeah.
kind of gave me like this itch to like maybe I'll kind of pursue it more. So I've been in classes and auditioning and my agents have been putting me up for stuff. So yeah, I don't know. We may dabble in that a little bit.
It's crazy because I know my little interview critics gonna come at me, but I guess I like jumped the question. But that is one of your goals, right? To also get into more
Oh,
acting. Yeah. I was like, "What are
it
your
is
goals?
now.
You're in a movie." Like I didn't even let you ask the
It's
question.
got to be hard to interview an interviewer,
Yeah. Well,
because
you've been good. Like people won't see because I'm gonna edit some stuff out, but like the way that you came and like kind of produced this a little bit, I was like, "Oh, she clearly has done this before." Like, where? Yeah, but like yeah, so like that's one of your goals. Do you have any other goals that you're really looking forward to doing this new life, this new
yeah, I've been working
post
on a ton
WWE
of
life?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
working on a ton of stuff. Like I've been very busy since I left. Um, I am currently I can't talk about too much stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm currently in the works of hosting some new shows. I have been writing and pitching a show that I'm producing. Um, which is right now my passion project. I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm also writing a memoir right now that I started writing a long time ago and kind of put a pause on it. So I've been rewriting that. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping busy and getting to work on things that I didn't have time to do or wasn't allowed to do in my previous position. So yeah, give it. I know it's been about by the time this airs, it'll be about 2 months since I left WWE. Don't fear, you're about to see me again. So
Yeah.
and not in wrestling because there's other things besides wrestling.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna ask that. Like, are you thinking you're gonna go work for another company? Because like I know, like from your perspective, like, there's other things you wanted to do, and now you get the freedom to do that. And I'm looking forward to seeing it all and rooting for you. And like, I still have your back if you ever want me to help promote or share
Thank
anything. Like, I
you.
got you. Like I said, you've always been nice to me. I know sometimes I can be a little bit of a who is this person, but eventually people catch on.
No, I appreciate you've always been very supportive. Like I've always taken note of you and listen, your support has meant the world. So
Thank you. This is something I've also talked to you about before too, and I thought, and
okay,
I still think it's a thing that should happen. That
what's
you
that?
should somehow, some way, get a role in a horror movie because you are a big horror
Yeah,
movie fan. I've
yeah.
seen her in your
Well,
stories.
Stranglehold's a
You've
little
done
bit of a
a little bit. She's got a little bit.
Stranglehold's kind of horror. No, I
Okay.
agree. Like that is that. You know what? Put that at the top of my list as a goal.
Yeah.
That
Let's
look,
manifest that. Put that in the universe.
I've already got a movie poster of me as a
That is
scary clown.
crazy. Yeah.
See? So,
Yeah. 100%.
but yeah, I would love gosh, I mean, as you know, I follow horror like very closely. My whole house is decked out in horror paraphernalia. It would be really cool to be part of a franchise or something. I went and saw the new Alien movie last night, actually, which was really fun. I was like, oh, this would be a really fun movie to act in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's not a matter of if, it's when. I'll be the
So
final girl.
let's do this, right? Because I've obviously watched my handful of horror movies. I've watched all the old school ones. I've been in relationships with girls that love them, so I've been going to them at times and watching the Insidiouses and stuff like that. But like for you, if I put you on the spot right now, I was like, what are the top 5 horror movies that you think I should watch? What would they be?
Okay, so you said you've seen a lot of horror?
I have and I haven't. Consider me like a noob. Like I'm like I
Okay,
dabbled in it. I've dabbled in it. Yeah.
so I'll give you some new and some old. So
Okay.
let's see. I'd say you've got to watch The Shining.
Okay, I've seen that, but yeah.
Okay, you've seen The
That's
Shining,
one.
great. I would say you've got to watch like Freddy versus Jason or something in that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. So I've
Newer
watched all like the
stuff.
Freddy's and Jasons and
Okay.
Halloweens and
Okay,
I
stuff
hated
that's kind of off
it.
the
Yeah, I hated it as a kid that you want
uh
a balloon. I used to get teased. My brother and sister, I'm the youngest, would always be like, you want a balloon? Or they just keep smiling at me and not stop. So I got scared. I hated that stuff. But,
okay.
yeah. So The
A24 has been
Shining,
putting out The Shining. You guys see Talk to Me, which is a newer movie by
never seen that.
A24.
Okay.
Oh, definitely go see that. If you haven't seen Long Legs yet, the new
No.
Nicolas Cage movie, I would
No.
say go see that. How many have I said? 4?
3, technically. 4, Freddy
Oh,
versus
because
Jason.
we're not doing the other
Well, we
one.
won't count that. We won't count that one. So 3.
Classically, you've seen Jeepers Creepers, right? That's
I
pretty much
haven't. I actually have never seen Jeepers Creepers. I know about it. I've heard about it.
okay.
I've seen
You
it
gotta go
referenced
watch
in
Jeepers
TV shows.
Creepers.
I've never watched it. Okay.
And
And
then
then one
another
more.
Justin Long one is maybe Barbarian, which was a really good one that kind
Okay.
of
I've
messed
never
me up a
seen that
little bit.
either. How did
Okay,
it mess
there
you
you go.
up?
There's some good ones to watch.
Nah, that's crazy. How did it mess you up? I'm scared now. I don't know. I don't even get
Okay,
scared
it's
about
about
it, but like I don't know. I don't know. What is it
because
about?
it's something that could like happen. You know, it's like the scary movies. I feel like it's about like a crazy Airbnb experience.
There was one I remember watching where there was like, I don't know if it was like a little boy that was in the walls or something. Does that ring a bell? I don't know. But it was like
The Black Phone,
maybe I don't know. There was like this little boy,
Black
little
Phone
girl
with
that was
Ethan Hawke.
living in the walls and like would come out. It was weird, but
No, it won't be that then. One
I
more. The Original Strangers.
I've never seen that either.
Scariest movie. Oh my gosh, watch it tonight. That is one of the scariest movies I've ever
I will
seen.
watch
Just
it
the
then and I'll
original
let
one.
you know.
Don't watch the rest.
Where can I
Just watch that
find
one.
it? I'll find it. I'll
Just
find it.
look it
I
up on
gotta find
Prime
it.
or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
don't
yeah.
worry about the second one or whatever. Just watch the
Yeah.
first one.
Because I'm also like a big deal. Like if I watch a horror movie, it has to be in two situations. Either I'm in a theater, because then that's when the jump scares actually get me,
Yeah.
or I need like all the lights off, nobody around me, need to watch it and just focus on it, because otherwise it doesn't work for me. I don't know. Um, uh, Another thing we've talked about
Mhm.
briefly, I was trying to look at things that we talked about, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring this up. Is we both watched Succession, and you can
Oh
answer this
yeah.
very briefly. How crazy is it watching that show
I was gonna
being
say.
in the WWE at the same time when that was all going on?
I know.
Because the parallels are crazy.
It is uncanny. It's almost like, did the writer of Succession, did they actually secretly work in WWE? Is it, or this is where they got their
Yeah.
characters? It's wild.
Because I had a running joke on my
Wild.
page about that. I'm like, oh, this is like that's living out the same thing over there. Like that's
Yes.
crazy. But
And I
I just
think
want to
Triple H
know,
even made a joke about it because even
did
he
he?
even sees it. I think so.
Okay, I
So
just want to know
funny.
if you, I just want to know if the company felt the same way I felt. Because I'm like, this, I'm
Yeah, I think
watching the
everyone, I've
show,
heard everybody at work say it.
and it was literally going through the final season, and this is all happening over here. Like this is
I know.
crazy. But great show though, overall though, right? Like it was a tremendous show.
Loved the show. Loved it. Sad it's
What are
over.
your what are some of your favorite shows outside of that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I watch a lot of trash TV. Like
Oh,
Love
so you're like a
Island has
reality
been
TV show.
messy this season. I do love a lot of yeah, I love reality. I'm trying to think what like actual shows I've been watching. Gosh, when you put me on the spot that way, guess what? I just started binged and finished for the first time in my life.
What?
Game of Thrones. Game of
Oh
Thrones.
wow.
Never watched it in my entire life, and since I started as soon as I left WWE, and just finished, and now I'm on House of Dragon.
How do you feel about
What
the
I
ending
was
there? You don't
missing
have to
so
like,
much.
oh, that's so like, have you watched like The Boys and everything? You've seen,
Love the boys. That's one of my. This season kind of sucked, but that is one of my
yeah.
favorite shows.
I felt like this season they focused too much on like trying to shock you with things than really
Yeah,
the story. There's more like scenes that
and
were
it
like,
didn't.
whoa, than
Yeah,
like, oh, what happened in this episode? Like besides like the
yeah,
action. Yeah, yeah.
I
But it's a great
agree.
show. Um
The Bear,
There's another,
great
The
show.
Bear's great show. That one
Hmm.
episode where they're at his family's house and it was like a flashback to like I think it was the Seven Fishes or something like that. That was great. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good shows. I watch too much TV, I think sometimes. Um, Another thing that I picked up on watching some of your old interviews and stuff that I really related with, that I thought was actually so funny, because I don't hear a lot of people that agree with me on this.
Mm.
Since I was a child, I've been told, I've been saying three things, and it's I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm bored. And the
Uh-huh.
third one is always trying to battle the boredness. And I feel like I've always like found ways to not be bored. And one of them is being able to hang out with yourself. And you talked about how you can go to the movies
Oh
by
yeah.
yourself, this and that. And I definitely can do that too. And I don't understand why that's so hard for people. Like I find it so much.
You
I almost find
know,
it like a form of escapism from everything else to like just go watch a movie and pop out of there.
I
Do people
agree.
find you weird for that?
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about that recently because I was like, I mean, yeah, I used to. I just started dating someone, so he's always tagging along. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like for years, yeah, movies. I'd go to like the nicest restaurant, get fixed up, not trying to like get attention by anybody or trying to get someone to come talk to me. It just felt good to like know I can go sit at this place, treat myself, order what I want, and then leave and go home and go to bed. And I much prefer that than sitting with someone I don't really care to talk to and having to force a conversation about who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about, I was like, why do people find this so weird? Like I guess some people have like that anxiety of being alone, but nothing gives me more peace than being by myself. So I think maybe
Like,
we just have this like it's like a
y
gift that we have.
like, you gotta learn to, like, hang out with yourself and love yourself, like, that's the most
Yeah.
important relationship, and I feel like I've, like, even hung out with people this summer where they're like, "Oh, like, what do you wanna do?" And I'm like, "You know, when I'm hanging out with people, I'm like, I'm not even actually bored, I'm more worried about you being bored, that's why I'm always like, 'So, like, what do you wanna do? Like,
Yeah.
what do you wanna do?' So I'm like, I can
Yep.
go home and sit around, read a book, watch TV, I
Yep.
can entertain myself, I have no problem with it, I won't be bored because 'cause I've been battling being bored since I was a child, I don't like being bored." So, like,
Like
what
nothing
other
nothing
people.
I think makes probably like you probably feel the same way, but like there's no greater joy than realizing I have plans at night for them to call and cancel. I'm like,
100%.
oh
And then like,
darn. But I'm
I'm like,
like,
don't get me wrong,
yes.
I wanted to come, but if you cancel, like, I'm not going to be devastated. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
it's like I think a lot of people don't get that, and it's not even like, and like the idea of like, I always tell people, I'm like, I need, like, if I come hang out with you guys, and we like hang out 2-3 days in a row, I'm like really busy. Like, I need a day I don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I need
Yes.
do not
Yes.
disturb, phones off, don't bother
Yeah.
me. Like, I'm like, I just need that to recharge my batteries. I'm like, I'm I consider myself an introvert, but like I'm really good socially. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like,
You're the introvert. It's the introverted extrovert thing. I have it too.
yeah. Yeah, it's an interest because I'm like, you can put me out somewhere and I'm not gonna be like
You'll be
standing in the
fine.
corner quietly. And I'll
Yeah.
interact and talk and be social, but I'm like, I also like, and I mean this with the most love because I love a lot of people. I just don't like people. I don't like people sometimes.
I don't like them either.
Yeah.
I literally was sitting. I was there. I was at a store yesterday, and this woman was so rude. Like I was sitting, and she like took my spot and didn't even acknowledge it anyway. And I
Yeah.
sat there, and I was like, I would be so okay for the world to just go to shit right now. We all have to go live in bunkers just so I'm to be around
Yeah.
people. Like, I'd be cool with
Yeah.
just being isolated from the rest of the world because
Oh
people.
my god. I hate traffic. I'm always like, I'm gonna get old. I'm gonna buy a nice house. I'm gonna grow my hair and my beard, and I'm gonna be like Gatsby. I'll throw a party once a year. That's it. That's it.
That's
Because
the
I'm like,
life. That's the
it really
dream.
is. I just want to live next to some water, and I want a nice house because that's where I'm gonna be most of the time. I'll let certain
Uh-huh.
people in and out when they want, as long as they know not to bother me and they understand my habits, and then we'll be
Mhm.
chilling. I'll throw a big party once or twice a year.
Exactly.
So I'm just
Easy
like,
breezy.
it's a lot. Last but not least, I like to always ask this question, and we'll wrap things up with that. Is do you feel like you made your younger self proud up to now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what keeps me going, and that's what kinda keeps me on the course and on track, like, absolutely. Younger Kayla didn't think anything like this would ever be possible. Thought I'd be potentially, like, part of the foster care statistics, which a lot of times people come out of foster care and just repeat the patterns of their parents. Um, Never thought I got a full ride to college, and then, yeah, I got the job out of college, and then, of course, led me to WWE. Like, I just little Kayla would have had no she would have laughed if you ever told her that this would be her life one day, so, yeah, and I hope to continue making little Kayla proud. We're gonna get that
Wow.
talk show one day. The big one's coming.
I'm excited. Let me come watch it or do something.
Yes, come to the live studio audience.
I'll come to the live studio audience and hang out. I mean, I'm rooting
Yes,
for you.
please.
Hope that all works out. And once again, like if you ever need
Thank
anything from
you.
my end, like I'm always here to help out. I appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate you making some time. I know you've done a handful of them recently, and I know being on both ends where I'm like, I was talking to someone else, one of your old colleagues, a couple of days ago, and she's like, I would love to come on, but she's like, I don't know, I don't trust myself. And I just like, I'm like, I get it, because I'm like, I go on people's shows and I just feel like I'm repeating myself, or am I talking too much,
Yeah,
or am I saying stuff that I've told these stories a million times? And does
Shay.
anybody
Yeah,
does anybody actually care? So like I get it. So I'm like, when I reach out, ask people to come on my show, just know it's a mutual, like, we both are weird about what we're doing right now, but we just got to do it. So like, thank you.
yeah. No,
I appreciate it. Thank
I
you for making
appreciate
time.
you.
And I'm
Of
looking forward
course.
to everything on. Everybody check out Stranglehold. I don't know when exactly it's coming out, but keep your eyes out for it. It's good. I'm looking forward to checking it out, and I'm looking forward to see
Mhm.
you in more roles and more movies and more stuff like that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to say to the WWE fans before we wrap up?
Love you guys, and watch out. Who knows? Might be back one day. Never
100%. That
say
door is
never.
always, yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it. Hope everyone keeps doing the
Thank
thing.
you.
See you all later.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.